let's say for this effect, I take the prediction deck and I leave it off to the side like this. So now I can hand the spectator the non-prediction deck. They can take it out of the box and they can give it a shuffle. Once they're done mixing the deck, they're going to hand it back to me, and I would have the spectator take out any card they would like. So let's say they take out that card. Now, I don't want to see what card you took out, so I'm going to turn my head, but here is your selection. Go ahead and remember this for me. Okay, so once the spectator has remembered their selection, I would take the card back. I'll show it to you one more time. And then I would take it back and I would go ahead and mix it somewhere into the deck. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually see if we can get your card to actually disappear from the deck into the prediction box. Now, the first thing I need to do is I just need you to just tell me if you see your card somewhere in the box. Now, we're not going to use the whole deck here. I think maybe about half of the cards. So we can take about half, leave the other half on top of the prediction box, and I can show you all of these. And I would ask, did you see your card anywhere in here? No. Okay. Meaning we're going to leave the other half of the deck right there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take out my prediction deck just like this. So we can take it out. Okay, perfect. So we're going to give the deck one cut, and we're going to see if your card is in the other half of the deck. No? Okay. Well, we're going to put this deck away, and for the prediction deck, all I have to do is snap my fingers, and you're going to see there's one card face up in the deck, and that should be your card, the 10 of spades. But that's not all. I knew you were going to choose the 10 from the beginning because this is the only card that has a different back. So, that is the trick for today. If you would like to learn how to do this, make sure to stick around for the tutorial. So, a few things before this trick, I teach you how this is done. The first thing is, this is a trick I actually put together when playing around. Now, I'm not going to say it's an original, because I don't think really anything out there is an original. So, I don't think this is an original, but I can't find a video or maybe a book or a source or anything that has this trick. But if you happen to know of something, please leave a comment down below in the comments so I can update the description. So that's the first thing. The second thing is for this trick, what I used are the Avery decks. Now the reason I use this deck, these two decks, are because each of the cards are the same in the decks, okay? Now the back designs are the same, just different color, but the rest of the cards are actually the same. So the 2, 3 of hearts are the same. If we go for the Queen of Hearts, those are the same, just like this. And every card is actually the same. So I would recommend using decks like these, or maybe a red and blue bicycle deck, or something like that, just so there's not a big difference. Something you don't want are, for example, a Canis Lupus deck, which has all purple, and then a Green Keepers, which has red on it, because then they would really notice a change. So if you don't know any decks you could get that basically are like the Avery decks, I will leave a video down below in the description you can check out. If I have a deck review on the Avery decks, I will leave them down below as well. At the end, I'm going to show you one more way you can actually do this if you want to end clean, okay? So, there's really no setup. So, all you're going to do is take both of your decks, you're going to leave them in the box, and before you go up to your spectator, you're going to decide which is your prediction deck and which is the deck you're going to use for the tutorial or the performance. Now you could play around with it and have the spectator choose the prediction deck, but I like to have it already planned out, but it doesn't matter. So let's say we leave this deck over to the side, meaning we're going to take this deck. Now my performance probably wasn't the best, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to have a card controlled and actually selected and controlled to the top. So I'm going to leave some card controls in the description. I'm also going to leave the control I did in the description as well. Okay, but that's all you're going to do. Just to keep things simple, let's go with the top card, the Two of Spades. So once they have selected a card and you controlled it, you're going to go ahead and you're going to turn the deck face up and you're going to catch a break underneath or above the bottom card, which is their selection, the 2. Now, all I did was a pinky count, so I just pulled down with my pinky. You could go ahead and riffle with your thumb, but I wouldn't advise spread in the deck. If you do, just watch your angles on it, but I think that looks a little weird. So I think if you have your hand turned in like this, you can use your pinky to now catch the break. And now I have the break, and it didn't really look like anything. So now what you're going to do is you're going to need to load this card underneath your prediction deck. And something I forgot to mention at the beginning, for your prediction deck, keep in mind which way you put the deck into the box. If you put the deck into the box this way, so the front of the cards are pointing to the back of the box, you're going to have to essentially hold the box like this for it to work, because for the one face up card, these are face down. If you have the cards in the other way, so for example, this way, you're going to have the deck up like this. So I hope that makes sense, but that's just a little thing you're going to have to keep in mind. I forgot to mention that, but that's what you're going to do. So now with your break, all you're really going to do is you're going to palm this card out. So I'm not going to teach the palm because I'm not the best at it, but I will give you a quick tutorial of what it's supposed to look like. So you have your little break. You're going to come with your middle ring and pinky on top, thumb in the back. I move the deck back about an inch so you can see that my pinky was at the bottom. And if I move it up, it's right about where the pip is here. I'm going to lift my hand up and I I can go ahead and move this other side of the deck, contacting my thumb, down. I can lift my hand up, and now I can take the deck away. You just want to keep in mind, though, this doesn't happen. So something you might want to do is raise your hand up, move the deck down some. So now when you're going to move your hand away, keep all your fingers closed, though. The card is going to go across your middle finger, okay? And then your index finger is there. So this might sound confusing, but this is actually quite easy. So you have your break right here. I'm going to move it down to my middle finger. I'm going to keep all of my fingers closed. And now when I remove the deck, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to keep my hand like this. Obviously, if you bring it like this, they're going to see it. So that's all you're going to do. You have your break. You're going to move it down. Keep your fingers closed the entire time. Move it down about your middle finger. Keep your index finger on top of your middle finger. Lift up the deck. You can lift up your hand a little now, not too much. Practice in a mirror, and now you have it hidden. So now you can take this other deck, and watching your angle still, I'm going to lift my thumb up. I'm going to bring this deck in front of my hand, and now all I'm going to do is take this hand with the palm card. I'm just going to bring it up like this while moving this deck all the way down and then back up. Okay, so I'm like this. I come over with the deck. I can straighten out my index finger just a little. Okay, so now I can get nice and flush next to my thumb. I can bring the deck down some more while moving this hand up. And now I'm going to curl my index finger right back over so they don't see this little buckle. So one more time, I'm like this. I'm going to bring this deck. And right when it's covered, you can even go in like this. I'm going to move my index finger out of the way. I'm going to start bringing the deck down. I can move my other fingers out of the way. Now I have it flat, so all I have to do is watch your angles on this again to make sure your index finger is right in front. I can put my other fingers right behind my index finger, contacting the card, my thumb in the back, and now I can square it up. So essentially all that did was turn this card face up at the back of the box. Okay, so that's really the move you're gonna do. Now, this is only if you have the cards face down right here. If you don't have the cards face down, maybe you thought they were face down, but turns out they were face up, you're going to do sort of the same move again. But this time you're going to want to be more careful because you don't have cards to hide it. So I'm going to catch a break above the card. I'm going to move everything back about the same way as before. So pretty much repeat the same steps, but instead, this box is going to go up about halfway. I'm going to bring my hand up, maybe this much, and now I can take this deck, continue bringing it all the way up, and once the deck touches the top of the card, okay, so now it's standing upright, I can bring the box down, and now I can square everything up. So once again, you have the break. This is exposed though. I'm going to have it like this. I'm going to move the box all the way up. Okay, and once it reaches the top of the card, I can turn it into a vertical position like this, and then I can bring the box all the way down, and then I can square up with the other hand. And that's essentially all it does, is like this, because they think you're just showing both sides of the box, when actually you're hiding this card as well. So let's say finally we're like this. You're going to say, okay, you can either take the deck out and do the move, or you can show this deck. Now, showing that this deck is necessary, but it helps sell that the card moved from the deck to over here. So something I might do is turn my wrist in towards myself, put my middle ring and pinky on one side, my thumb on the other side, okay? Now I can switch hands for the same grip. I'm gonna use my thumb to open up the flap, and now my hand is gonna contact the top of the card, not the whole card though, because I'm gonna dump the deck out, and once it's sort of dumped out and they're kind of like at a slant like that, dump them out as much as you can into your hand, meaning now you can take your fingers and you can slide this card back while you're still dumping the deck out, and your thumb is applying pressure onto this deck to pull them out. And if you do this correctly, you're going to notice that the cards in the box are going to hide your face up card like this. So now this might be what comes out. So you can square everything up. And now all you have to do with this card is just cut it into the middle. So I might say, okay, what if I could get your card to disappear from this deck into this deck over here? You can cut the deck, and then you can say, okay, let's look over here. But what I'm going to do is go over that move one more time for you. So, you're going to have the deck, the flap of the box towards yourself. Now, really, there's no reason to get a break. Now, you could if you don't want that card to flash, okay? That might actually help. But you can open up the flap. You can tip some of the cards out, okay? And make sure they're all tipped out. But I like to shake it a few times. And then I can let go of my pinky break and pull this card down, and then I can continue shaking the box just like this. And if you do it right, either they're gonna be like this, for example. Make sure that doesn't happen though. So maybe like, I don't know, this, or they might be squared up like this, but you want to be extra careful to just rotate the deck. But if they're like this, well, that's easy enough since they're messy. You can just rotate them while they're messy, and then you can square them up. So really, long story short, you want the card face up on the bottom, the indifferent card, on the bottom face up of the indifferent deck. So finally, I might say, okay, let's see if we can get your card to disappear. I might give it a cut, set it down, and not mention it. And now you can go through this deck any way you want, and they're not going to see their card. Then you can say, well, this is my prediction deck that's been sitting here since the beginning. Let's see what we can do. You can spread it out. There's one card face up, and it's the two of spades. Now that's pretty impressive. Then you can say, wait, I had this deck here since the beginning, and I knew you were going to choose the two of spades because before we started, I put this two at the beginning in this deck with the only different back. And that is the trick. So that is how I performed it in the performance. Here is actually one more way you could do that, but you could end totally clean, okay, from both decks. So you're going to want to take a card out you're going to force. Let's say the two of spades. You're going to go into your prediction deck, okay, and keep in mind these are both the same decks, even though it really doesn't matter. You're going to take that two of spades out, and you're going to just leave it at home or somewhere. I wouldn't even carry it in my pocket with me. in case the spectator wants to check the pockets. But what you can do is now take your prediction deck without the 2, leave it in the box, take this 2, and now you're going to put it somewhere in the deck where you can force it. So I'm not going to go over the trick again, but let's say you force the 2 on the spectator, and then you can keep it on top of the deck any way you know how. Maybe some false cuts. If you don't know any of those, I will leave a link in the description. And then you can palm the 2 right over to the box like I taught. You can take everything out. But this time, okay, so this isn't how I would perform it. I'm just speeding it up for you. You would have that card like this. You can cut the deck, and now they can look through this deck. They're not going to see the 2, meaning when they go through this deck, the 2 is face up, but it's a different back. And as an extra kicker, you could have these be all blank. You could have your 2 not in there. You could have these maybe with all red cards. You could really do anything you want. Maybe a one-way forcing deck. It really doesn't matter. There's a lot of ways you can end this effect. If you have an invisible deck, I don't have one myself, but if you have an invisible deck, you could even do that way. So you can show them that you knew they were going to pick the 2 by the invisible deck. Now for the invisible deck, you don't want to palm out the card though. You want them to take out the card, you look at it, then you reveal it that way. But yeah, that is the effect. So once again, I'm not too sure if this is an original. This is something I just put together when playing around. But I hope you like this. If you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time with a new video. Bye.